we get the word Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And I would suggest Philia accurately describes my relationship with Reverend Michael Smith. This is a vital, valuable love. But when we talk about loving those who despitefully use us, we're not talking about Philia. Agape love. Agape love is understanding, creative, redemptive goodwill for all. It is generally understood as God working in the minds and hearts of humankind. It is an overflowing love which seeks nothing in return. And when we come to love on this level, we begin to love our neighbors not because they are likable. Actually, it has absolutely nothing to do with it. Not because they do things that attract us. But we love them because God loves them. While all three forms of love require some measure of inconvenience. If you've been married, I know you can testify to that. Agape love is practiced the least among the three offered in the Greek language because it is the most inconvenient. So when I talk about inconvenient love, I'm talking about agape love. Under agape love, see, we're still held to the love your neighbor as yourself, even regardless of our personal challenges at the moment. Whatever challenges, calamity, or misfortune in life has thrown our way does not let us off the hook from engaging in God's inconvenient agape love. It is a love that's not measured about how we feel about the other person. Rather, it's a love measured by how we feel about ourselves. And how much we trust in God's transformative love, grace, and mercy. It is inconvenient because it calls us to love even when we don't feel like loving the other person. And it's what Paul was writing about in this first letter of the church of Corinth. It is in this context we also see the gospel according to John, that 13th chapter and the 34th verse, in a whole new light of appreciation where Jesus says, I give you a new commandment. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. See, that becomes a little more difficult when you really think what the sacrifice Jesus made to love one another. Given what we've already said about inconvenient love and what Jesus actually did, that commandment is a whole lot easier to embrace on paper than it is to implement in the reality of the human condition. Loving one another is not optional. That's why it's inconvenient. Inconvenient love requires courage. It requires a trust in God and a belief in Jesus that says, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. Now, it's one thing to talk about love in the cozy confines of church, but it's quite another to make it your goal because Christ has made it the goal when you're dealing with absurdity day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. You know, I liken it, I think I've told you this story before, but I liken it to what Mike Tyson says about the importance of having a flight plan when you go into the ring. According to Tyson, everybody has a plan until they get hit. Likewise, everybody can love until they get hit. I have little doubt that you can love everybody and everything when everything is going your way. But what happens when you've taken the blows of absurdity, been knocked down by tragedy, pummeled by heartache, sucker punched by failure, left on the canvas by disappointment? God wants to know, can you love after that? Can you engage in inconvenient love after that? Because that's what's required to be an active participant in Jesus' movement. All faith traditions and theologies must be examined through their weakness, lest we become enamored by the false illusions of unbridled self-righteousness. Therefore, the weakness of inconvenient love lies in its inconvenience and its failure to offer specific precepts on how to love. See, through the murky terrain of the human condition lies a peace that tragedy cannot eliminate, but to get there requires a faith in God that is undaunted by external circumstances. If such faith can only be achieved in moments of convenience, we will never reach peace in any real and authentic way. Moreover, if you require a rule or a biblical principle so that you can engage in inconvenient love to confront the absurdity of the human condition that offers no rules whatsoever, you will find yourself frustrated and disillusioned. There's no Sunday school lesson I can give you that can teach you how to love folk. You got to trust God enough to have the courage to want to do it. Inconvenient love is the most difficult because it's all about you. It's not predicated on the other person whatsoever. But it is only by accepting the challenge of inconvenient love that we can realize the benefits offered in the kingdom of God. Inconvenient love unlocks the door to mercy, provides the combination to peace and joy. And though the risk of engaging in inconvenient love can always lead to unjust suffering, we also know that unjust suffering can also be redemptive in its own right. So when Paul writes love is patient, that's not a general statement. That is specific to everyone under the sound of my voice. Your love, my love, must be a love that is patient. If it's not patient, it can never be inconvenient.
Woo, come on.
Amen.
It is impossible to have love that's not patient. Whether it's eros, philia, or agape, if you do not have patience, you cannot love. It is difficult to have love that is patient and also maintains desires of immediate gratification. Ours must be a love that is enduring, tolerant, long-suffering. It must be like fine wine that improves with age. The patience that our love exemplifies today ought to be greater than it was 5 years ago, but nothing compared to what it can be 5 years from now. If patience is not a part of our love ethic, then we are, as Paul says, sounding brass and tinkling cymbal. Conventional wisdom suggests that the opposite of love is hate. I disagree with that. The opposite of love is fear.
Come on.
John writes in his first epistle, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. Fear is the true enemy of the soul, of the community, and of the nation. See, the impulses of love and fear can be warring factions within the soul that cause a civil war that's rivaled only by Gettysburg, Antietam, and Chancellorsville. This country has been at its worst when it allows fear to be a dominant value by which it would set its moral compass. However you feel politically, I believe fear is at the core of many of our problems today, doing everything in its power to keep the nation beholden to a dysfunctional status quo. Think about it for just a moment. You had more people angrier about legislation that got the nation closer to providing health care for the 45 million people who don't have it. They're more upset about that than an unjust war that we're putting on the company credit card so your grandchildren can pay it, and we went over for all the wrong reasons. I mean, here's one that's trying to at least help the least of these in our society. And yet the other one is about megalomania and power, but we're mad about the one who tried to help the least of these.
Amen.
That's fear talk.
Yes.
In 1963, when Martin Luther King took on Bull Connor's police dogs and fire hoses, you know, as much as the prevailing myth likes to suggest that the black church was on guard, you know, en masse and led the civil rights movement. Well, let me just tell you something. There were 500 black churches in Birmingham and the surrounding area. Less than 20 actively participated with King.
Come on.
And some of those pastors from abstaining churches went as far as to parrot the same language as their segregationist oppressors, calling King an outside agitator. In Birmingham in 1963, fear had created an unholy alliance between victim and victimizer. Fear in the short term conveniently represents the opposite of God's inconvenient love. Fear is convenient, expedient, arrogant. It exists in its own way, indifferent to wrongdoing or truth, beholden